these enzymes, the activation energy. Now, once again, think about these proteins because that's how it's going to function. Now, in looking at all of the things that happen in the body, remember how I said we were organic, okay? Because we're carbon-based. However, quite a bit, of what we are is inorganic. Because when we think about inorganic chemistry, these are going to be substances that don't have carbon. That's what we tend to think of when we compare organic chemistry to inorganic. Organic, yes, carbon containing. Inorganic, no. In our bodies, however, we do have some exceptions. We have carbon monoxide. But now, wait a minute. Do we really have that in our bodies? Monoxide. Mono, meaning one. Because that's going to be the one that kills you. All right? Like if you're exposed to certain gases and like the kerosene heaters and stuff like that. However, carbon dioxide, CO2, okay, we do. And then this is going to be a bicarbonate ion. This becomes important when you get to talking about how the body will buffer itself, okay, meaning pH, all right? So those are some exceptions. Everything else that you see, water, oxygen, calcium phosphate, metal ions, the metal ions being like the iron, for example, these are inorganic. Now, those ions, which we will continue to talk about for the rest of this class, not just this class, the course, okay? We'll continue to talk about that for the rest of the course. They are going to stay important to us. Now, water, which we've kind of mentioned quite a bit, the properties of it, I kept mentioning cohesion, adhesion. When we talk about the amount of water in the body, bodies can be anywhere from roughly about 60 to 90% water, okay? Now, on average, and this would depend on how well hydrated you stay. Now, how many of you would say that you stay pretty well hydrated? I'm not raising my hand on that one, okay? Because I know I could do a whole lot better, okay? But depending on your level of hydration would determine how much water. But guess what else that level of hydration determines the hydration of? Well, yeah, but it's going to determine the level of hydration of your blood. Any idea why the level of hydration in your blood would be important?
Because if it's less thick like molasses, you can't fuse properly. Chemical exchanges can cellular level.
If your blood is not hydrated properly, it makes it harder for the heart to pump it through your system. It makes it harder for materials to move and therefore harder for materials to get into the cells where they're needed. Now, like I was mentioning earlier, water has that ability to not boil until roughly 212 Fahrenheit, not freeze till 32 Fahrenheit, okay? And this is called, well, the ability of heat to raise it for water is specific heat. That is important because it is so important to stabilize in our body temperature. Here's some other things that water is important for in the body? Protection. Acts as a lubrication and a cushion. What? Where is water a cushion in my body?
Muscles.
Well, yeah, sort of, yeah. And what else? Sort of, yeah. When I tend to think of that, I tend to think of like joints in the body and the cartilage that is between the joints. Wait a minute. Cartilage? What? Water? What? How do I actually get better joints?
Stay active.
Or maybe I should say have them be more healthy. I can drink more water and I can move.
Get them replaced.
Huh?
Get them replaced.
Well, now, this is true. However, if you ever known somebody who's had that done, it's not a lot of fun. Okay? Huh?
Can you be better by exercising?
Yes, most definitely. Because see, not only is that, the amount of water and so on and so forth, exercise is going to strengthen the muscles and the tendons and everything around those joints. All right? Think about it. People who may have had a job that's very, where they're moving a lot, okay? Maybe they're walking, maybe they're standing, maybe they're doing a lot of movement. And then they come to retirement. And now up until retirement, they're pretty good to go. Now granted, we get older, things break down a little more. All right, so you might not just be quite as fast as you used to be, okay? But they retire, and their one goal is to have a seat. And then they sit. Don't keep up that movement. What happens?
Your joints get stiff.
Joints get stiff, things begin to not move as well.
Arteries start to harden.
And chances are you're not going to have that long of a life. All right? So anyway, movement, definitely good. The other thing about water, those chemical reactions. The majority of what's going to take place in the body is going to be done in a water environment, whether inside the cell or outside the cell. And then serving as a mixing medium. What in the world does that mean?
Those things dissolve in water.
And if it's going to serve as a medium in our body, what is it doing? Transporting. Serves as a mixing medium, i.e. blood. Now, that mixing medium. Did you know that there is a difference between a mixture and a solution? A lot of people can go, no. Give me a mixture of something. Give me a solution of something. Ooh, what? Okay. There is a difference. When something is a mixture, the substances physically combine. They do not chemically combine. Really good example. Sand and water. Now, I would love to be somewhere right now where the water is warm and the sand is between my toes. That is not going to happen, but doesn't mean I can't like it. But think about that environment. Sand and water. Think of the water rushing up to the shore, looks all sandy, everything settles, water goes back out. They physically combined, but neither one of them dissolved in the other. A solution means that something chemically combined. Something broke down. Not really broke down, but something dissolved in that medium, which is usually water, okay? You end up having a solvent, something that dissolves the solute, and then you have the solute, what dissolved. What do we know as the universal solvent? Water. Water. Do you now know why it's the universal? But based on what I've taught you about that water molecule, well, think about the structure of it. Some of it had the positive, some had the negative. And it's able to surround whatever it is. Like, I don't know, you cooked spaghetti last night, you haven't washed dishes, all right? And you're going to go home and you're going to be like, man, I'm tired. You know, I really don't want to do that tonight. So you're going to be like, I'm going to just, keep it in the sink and I'm just going to fill the sink up with water. But then you come back the next day and everything's dissolved. That entire spaghetti sauce, whatever mixture, okay, water was able to surround every single molecule and break it apart because it has that positive and the negative. But now, wait a minute. I talk about all this stuff about water. Blood, which is our medium, okay? It's going to be a mixture, meaning we're going to have stuff that's present that doesn't chemically combine. We're going to have a solution, stuff that will chemically combine, and a colloid. What is that? Our blood has plasma. Plasma has what in it? It's got the water in it, but it's the place that you find substances such as your ions that will move. All right? When you separate out blood, you get the red blood cells, the white blood cells, then you get the plasma, and in that plasma are all the things that are good for the body that need to get to the cells. And it exists as a colloid, like this thick substance that's present. When we look at concentrations, something that is going to become clinically significant for you is the concentration of something. You go to put in an IV bag, the IV bag's going to have information on it. It's going to let you know the percent of the materials in that bag. Now, that information would be the concentration of the substances in, most likely, the water. Now, something that you are going to come across in your courses as you move forward is something called an osmole. You will hear the term osmolality or osmolarity. Have you ever heard of that? Osmolarity. No? Okay, well, it is something you're going to come across. Because our body really, has to deal with stuff at very tiny levels,